Thailand is a Southeast Asia country with Bangkok as its capital and a total population of 70 million people. It's the only country in Southeast Asia that was never formally colonized by the European power. The majority of the population there is ethnic Thai, with Thai as their main language, and Theravada Buddhism as the main religion. Thai culture emphasizes respect for elders, family values, and the monarchy. The country is well known for the Songkran festival, traditional arts, Muay Thai, and famous cuisine such as Pad Thai and Tom Yum. Thailand is a constitutional monarchy led by the king and also the prime minister.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I will talk about Thailand macroeconomic data. Firstly, the GDP growth. Thailand experienced a period of expanding economic momentum between 2015 and 2018, with real GDP growth peaking at 4.22% in 2018. This expansion was primarily driven by strong domestic consumption and a booming tourism sector. However, a structural slowdown began in 2019, which sharply intensified into a severe contraction of negative 6.05% in 2020. As an economy heavily reliant on international tourism and global supply chains, the COVID-19 travel restriction and lockdown crippled key revenue streams. The post-pandemic recovery in 2021 until 2024 has been somewhat sluggish compared to each regional peers, hovering between 1.55% and 2.58%, constrained by a slowing global economy and lagging structural shift. Next is inflation. For the majority of the decades, Thailand maintained a low inflation environment, even dipping into brief deflationary territory in 2015, 2020, and 2022, usually reflecting weak domestic demands or falling global oil prices. The most striking anomaly occurred in 2023, where inflation surged to 8.48%. This severe inflationary shock was driven by supply side disruption, escalating global energy and commodity prices following geopolitical conflict and a weakening Thai baht, which inflated the cost of imports. By 2024, aggressive monetary intervention by the Bank of Thailand successfully stabilized inflation back to a manageable 1.37%. For trade openers, the trade to GDP ratio measures the sum of export and import of goods and services as a share of GDP, indicating how integrated a country is with the global economy. Thailand ratio consistently stayed above 100% throughout the decade, except for 2020 at 97.80%, establishing it as a highly trade-dependent export-driven nation. Following the pandemic supply chain bottlenecks, uh, trade bounced back aggressively, hitting its highest level of 136.775% in 2024. This reflects Thailand's critical roles as a regional manufacturing hub for automotive parts, electronics, and agriculture commodities. Lastly, unemployment. Thailand is globally unique for its structurally ultra low unemployment rates, averaging just 0.84% over 10 years. Even during the peak economic crisis of the pandemic, unemployment only rose slightly to 1.09% in 2020 and 1.22% in 2021 before dropping back down to 0.78% by 2024. This low figure doesn't mean the economy is completely flawless. Rather, it reflects a large informal labour sector, such as agriculture, street vending, and self-employment, where workers underemployed during economic downturns are legally counted as employed rather than filing for official unemployment benefits.
Thailand mining sectors hold incredible economic promise, backed by an estimated 1.24 trillion in untapped mineral reserves such as tungsten, tin, and lignite. The country's vast resource stock is overwhelmingly dominated by industrial minerals valued at over 38 million baht, alongside significant reserves such as rockstone and cement that are essential for infrastructure development. While this immense wealth represent a major opportunity for future industrial growth through both private and state-run operations, the crucial challenge moving forward will be successfully balancing this aggressive economic expansion with necessary environmental protection. For the production, consumption, export, and import, we can see Thailand produce and consume a large amount of minerals domestically, while keeping its exports relatively slow. The country experienced a massive, highly profitable boom after 1985 by shifting its focus to mining construction materials like cement and ceramics. However, because of this aggressive mining is now causing extensive damage to local natural resources, the Thai government is stepping in with strict new regulation to ensure that future operations are environmentally sustainable.
I'm going to introduce you about forestry resources in Thailand. Forestry is one of Thailand's most important natural resources. It supports economic growth, biodiversity, and environmental sustainability. Forest in Thailand is about 51 million hectares of land, features a variety of forest ecosystems, and it is mainly managed and owned by the Royal Forest of Department (RFD). For stock of forest resources in Thailand, Thailand's forests are divided into two categories, which are evergreen forest and deciduous forest. Evergreen forest takes about 16% of total forest area, and forest is distributed by 16.40 million hectares of conservation forest, 4.28 million hectares of forestry plantation, and also 3.5 million hectares of production forest. 81.6% of forest land is owned and managed by the government. Thailand produces products from their forest resources, and their largest forestry products are woodfall, logs, and wood in 2019. Thailand also produces million tons of paper and pulp. Since the 1989 logging ban, timber mainly comes from plantation forests, and their main three species are rubber wood, teak, eucalyptus, mango, and durian wood. For consumption, total annual consumption of wood was approximately 21.9 million cubic meters, and their industrial consumption are mainly pulp and paper, furniture, construction, and plywood and veneer. Domestic demand for paper and packaging increased in 2014, and the main factor comes from food and beverages industry. Thailand also imports their forestry resources. Thailand imported 623 million worth of wood products in 2024, and they are ranked 45th largest wood importer globally. And their top suppliers are China, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Their largest imported timber is Thailand. Also exports the forest resources and is the 14th largest wood exporter in the world. Their wood products exports reached billion of USD in 2024, and their furniture exports also totaled 1.2 billion USD and increased by 7.22%. Main export markets are China, United States, Japan, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. Rubber wood contributed 60% of wood product exports and 70% of wooden furniture exports. Now for the level of utilization. First, resources are widely used in manufacturing, construction, furniture, packaging, and international trade. Strong domestic consumption, imports, exports show the sector's high economic value. Sustainable forest management also ensures long-term resource availability and continued economic
Next,
growth.
I will present about agriculture resources in Thailand. Agriculture plays an important role in Thailand's economy by supporting food security, employment, and rural livelihoods. Thailand has around 51 million hectares of land and about 43.75% is used for agriculture. The main agricultural activities include rice farming, rubber plantations, cassava, and sugarcane production. In 2024, agricultural exports contributed around 40 billion US dollar, showing the importance of this sector to Thailand's economy. For agricultural production, Thailand produces various crops. The highest production in 2023 was sugarcane at 82.5 million tons, followed by rice and cassava. These agricultural resources are used in different sectors. The largest use is for food processing and direct consumption, followed by animal feed and biofuel production. This shows that agriculture supports not only food supply but also industries and energy production. Although Thailand is a major agricultural producer, it still imports some resources such as soybeans and wheat to support industries like animal feed and food processing. At the same time, Thailand exports many agricultural products including processed food, fruits, rice and rubber. In 2024, agricultural exports reached around 41.2 billion US dollar. Overall, Thailand has a high utilization of agricultural resources which contributes to economic growth, employment and trade.
Next, I'll be giving a brief overview of three major environmental challenges facing Thailand. The country is rich in natural resources, and these have long been the backbone of its economy, supporting exports, manufacturing, and tourism. However, the pursuit of economic growth over the past several decades has led to the unsustainable exploitation of these very resources, and we are now seeing the consequences. Now let's start with biodiversity loss. Thailand is currently experiencing a significant decline in wildlife populations and overall ecosystem health. According to the IUCN Red List, over 300 species, including mammals, fish, and plants, are now classified as threatened or endangered. This isn't just an environmental concern, it has direct implications for human well being. We rely heavily on these species for food, medicine, and ecological balance. A continued decline in biodiversity could compromise food security and even create conditions for new diseases to emerge. So it's a risk that affects all of us. Next, let's talk about water scarcity. In 1962, Thailand had approximately 7,700 cubic meters of renewable freshwater per capita. By 2014, that figure had dropped to just 3,300 cubic meters, a clear indication of growing water stress, further exacerbated by prolonged dry seasons. Clean water is essential not only for drinking but also for sanitation, agriculture, and economic activity. When water becomes scarce, communities face reduced agricultural output and increased health risks. Inadequate sanitation, in particular, can lead to outbreaks of waterborne diseases such as cholera and typhoid fever. So, again, this is both an environmental and a public health issue. And last but not least, we have deforestation. In 2015, Thailand's forest cover stood at just 32.1%, well below the national target of 40%. The main drivers include illegal clearing, hydropower dams, mining, and resort development. Mangrove forests, in particular, were nearly halved between 1975 and 1993 due to the expansion of shrimp farming. The environmental effects are considerable. Forests absorb significantly more carbon than they emit, so when they are cleared, the stored carbon is released into the atmosphere, contributing to the climate change. On top of that, the deforestation leads to soil erosion and nutrient depletion, which reduces agricultural productivity. For communities that depend on farming, this can result in low yields and increased food insecurity. To conclude, Thailand is confronting a range of serious environmental challenges, namely biodiversity loss, deforestation, and water scarcity. These issues are closely interconnected and largely stem from the unsustainable exploitation of natural resources in the name of economic development. While the government has introduced various policies and frameworks aimed at promoting conservation and green growth, enforcement remains a significant challenge. There continues to be a persistent tension between economic priorities and environmental sustainability. Without stronger regulatory measures and a genuine shift towards more sustainable practices, this risk will only intensify, threatening not only Thailand's rich biodiversity but also its long term economic stability and the well being of its people.
For this part, I will explain the government measures, solutions, and policies used by Thailand to manage natural resources issues. First, Thailand focused on forests and the biodiversity protection through reforestation, protected areas, national parks, and wildlife sanctuaries. This helped reduce deforestation and protect endangered species. Second, Thailand also used community forest management, where local communities help monitor forests, prevent illegal logging, and manage forest resource sustainability. Next, government improve water resource management through long-term planning, including irrigation, reservoirs, watershed protection, and flood control. Thailand also applies Environmental Impact Assessment or EIA to check environmental impact of development project before approval. Lastly, the BCG economy model support efficient resource use, waste reduction, recycling, and sustainable development. Overall, Thailand already has many good policies, but the implementation still need improvement. My suggestion is that Thailand should strengthen enforcement, improve coordination between agencies, use more technology, and involve local community more actively. Thank you.
Okay, for this chapter 4, I will explain about sustainable land management and sustainable forest management in Thailand. First, sustainable land management or SLM. Basically, Thailand uses SLM to protect soil and agricultural land so it can still be used in the long term. One of the main approaches is land degradation neutrality or LDN, which is used by the Land Development Department or LDD. From 2009 to 2023, around 9.57 million hectares of land in Thailand were classified as degraded. So this shows that land management is quite important in Thailand, especially for farming areas. To handle this issue, Thailand used methods like vetiver grass, soil conservation, crop rotation, and land use planning to improve soil condition. Next is Sustainable Forest Management or SFM. Thailand aims to increase forest cover to 40% of the total land area, but currently it is around 31.57% in 2022. So there is still a gap that needs to be improved. To solve this, Thailand used reforestation, tree planting, and forest protection programs. They also apply community forestry under the Community Forest Act 2019. In 2025, there are about 11,984 community forests in Thailand, which shows local people are also involved in forest management. Overall, Thailand has already made efforts
in managing land and forest resources through different programs. But there are still issues like land degradation, forest loss, and illegal logging. So stronger enforcement and more community involvement are still needed to make sure these resources can be managed properly in the future. Thank you.
In conclusion, land and natural resources are very important in Thailand because they support agriculture, settlement, industry, tourism, forestry, infrastructure, and local livelihood. Resources such as forests, water, coastal areas, minerals, and biodiversity also contribute to food production, climate protection, and national development. However, Thailand also face several challenges: rapid urbanization, agricultural expansion, industrial growth, and tourism development have increased pressure on land and ecosystem. Thailand also face environmental issues such as flood, drought, water resources problem, biodiversity loss, waste management, and climate change. Although Thailand has introduced policies to improve environmental management, stronger implementation is still needed. For example, Thailand needs to increase forest and green area to 40% of the country land's area. This shows that the country is moving toward conservation, but more action is needed to balance development and environmental protection. Based on example from other country, there are five main recommendations for Thailand. First, Thailand can learn from Singapore by strengthening integrated land use planning. This include using GIS mapping, satellite data, updated zoning map, and clear land use categories to introduce land conflict and illegal land conversion. Second, Thailand can learn from Costa Rica by introducing and expanding payment from ecosystem service. This means giving financial incentive to farmer communities and landowner who protect forests, watershed, mangrove and biodiversity area. Third, Thailand can learn from Japan's Satoyama approach by improving community-based natural resources management. Local community should be involved in forest monitoring, watershed protection, agroforestry, and ecotourism because they are directly affected by environmental changes. Fourth, Thailand can learn from the Netherlands by improving water and flood management. This includes restoring floodplain, protecting watershed forests, improving drainage system, and avoiding development in flood risk area. Lastly, Thailand should improve land right and land administration. A transparent digital land information system can help reduce land dispute, improve decision making, and prevent illegal encroachment. Overall, Thailand should manage land and natural resources in a way that support economic growth while also protecting forests, water resources, mangrove, biodiversity, and local communities. Sustainable resources management is important to ensure that development today does not harm the needed of future generation. Thank you.